Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. If you happen to be in the digital marketing space and sell some sort of service like funnels or digital marketing agency services, you're going to want to pay attention because on this video, I'm going to break down the 7 things that you can actually use to improve not only your closing rate, but how you can actually charge more money for your services. So let's jump into it and break this down. You're going to want to stay to the very end because each step is really critical for your success. Let's jump into it. Hey guys, what's going on? And like I said, today's training is specifically for you agency owners on how you can actually close more deals at a better closing rate, but also at a better price point. Now, some of you on this channel may be saying, what does this knucklehead know about selling agency services? Last year, I averaged almost a brand new onboarding of a brand new customer almost every week that significantly were paying a lot more than $5,000 per month. So if those are the kind of results you want, these are some things that I'm going to be breaking down inside of this training that are really going to be critical. Now, some of them are going to be high level, some are going to be a little bit more granular, but let's break into these step by step. All right, you guys. So the first thing is that you got to get real clarity as far as what exactly is going on with the business. I call this the current affair. This is, okay, what's going on with the current business? Get a sense, get a feel for who's actually handling the marketing and advertising, what potentially is actually going wrong. You got to get a really good high level overview as to what is actually happening with the business as it sits right now. The second thing that needs to have happen is you really need to fight for clarity when it comes to the numbers. Oftentimes in the agency space, people will come, they're just kind of looking around, they're just kind of fishing. Well, what do you actually charge? Problem is that oftentimes business owners or even CMOs that you speak with don't really know their exact numbers. And so when you don't know your numbers or the business doesn't know the numbers, it's very, very difficult to get the baseline success of what you're able to accomplish with the potential customer and how you're going to help them to move the needle. So it's really, really critical that you work with the customer on fighting for clarity as to what is happening from a KPI, conversion rate, really dive into the numbers on that very, very first call as much as you possibly can so that you know what you're dealing with and what it's going to take in order for you to be able to help them reach really their end destination. All right, you guys. So the third thing that I would highly suggest is selling them on the idea of actually allowing you to be able to put together some sort of game plan, a battle plan, an audit, a strategy. Do not just make this a generic audit where you review what's happening from a paid advertising standpoint. Here's what I would suggest that you actually put inside of this presentation or document that you present to them. Number one, I would get a very clear idea as to what is currently happening with their paid media. The second thing that I would highly recommend that you doing is looking at what's happening from a conversion standpoint. What is their conversion, their landing pages, what's actually happening from that standpoint? And then the third thing that I would highly recommend that you take a look at is what's happening from an average order value. And even further down the line as to how the business is actually doing from an email marketing standpoint. I would take all of that, put it into some sort of battle plan or game plan, and assess with the business opportunities that they have to be able to improve their business. Most likely you're speaking to a business that has something going on and there's not major gaps, although sometimes there is inside of the business that you're just going to come in and immediately pour in hundreds of thousands of dollars into the business. But there's all of these incremental improvements that you can actually make that end up having the biggest impact on the business. Now, the other thing to take in consideration on why it's so important to actually charge for that work. Listen, you talk to businesses all of the time that are interested in your services or products. Oftentimes they're just fishing, wanting to understand what your pricing structure is actually all about. Position this game plan as, hey, let's fight for some clarity and let me see what's actually happening in your business and give you an idea as to what you should actually do with your marketing and advertising, regardless of whether we're working together or not. That way you actually have a game plan moving forward, despite whether we actually end up doing business, rather than me just doing a quick audit of what's happening with your marketing and advertising. Sell them on the idea of that battle plan or that game plan first and foremost for a lot of different reasons. Number one, the fact that they're now investing, they're pulling out their credit card, they have buy-in, they trust you that you can actually put that together. And then when you present that to them, your chances or your closing rate should be significantly higher than anything else that you actually present. So charge for that work that you're doing, present to them a game plan that you can implement in order to improve their overall marketing and advertising, or what they should be focusing on. And then at the very end of the presentation, go through how you would actually go about doing that. And the chances of you being able to close that deal is very, very high. Now, the fourth thing to take in consideration when you're presenting this information to the business owner is do not make the critical mistake of going over why you're so amazing and how many other businesses that you've actually worked with and why they should trust you with their business. When you focus on them and you focus on their business and you show them what's happening in opportunities that they can actually improve their overall marketing and advertising, that builds immediate credibility. It creates immediate trust. Wait till the very end to give your 2 cents on your unique selling proposition as to how you can actually help them, how you see it going, but make 90% of the presentation about them and their business and where there's opportunities for them to make more money inside of their business. Number 5, you need to be able to break down realistic numbers on improvements. So as you're breaking down this battle plan, this game plan, you have to be able to look at the data and know that if you make certain incremental changes and you buy yourself time and give yourself realistic expectations, that these are the numbers and this is what the outcome actually looks like for them to solve these problems. Business owners purchase and will pay any amount if the value far outweighs the actual price. So when you're able to articulate the numbers and actually show them the data, now it doesn't matter about your pricing. It matters as to do they believe that you actually have the competency and the confidence to execute on what you're going over with them. And if you do a good job at presenting that, you're going to breed in that confidence regardless and put yourself in a way better situation to close the deal. Now, number 6, at the very end, this is when you want to actually demonstrate what you're actually talking about is actually applicable to their business. And this is when you actually want to back it up with some additional case studies. Hey, this reminds me, it's very similar to this kind of business that I worked with. Here's what was actually happening. It's very similar to what's going on with your business. And here were the results that we were able to get. Save the case studies, save the testimonials to the very end of the presentation, back up your work based off of what you've expressed and shown around their business. Then at the very last, you guys, number 7 is to have a system in which you can actually present. It doesn't have to be lights out, way different from anybody else in the marketing place. It just has to be different. Here's the way that I go about it. Here's what most people do. And here's why my processes or our business processes work. When you break down those 7 things and you actually have value to present to a customer and you know your numbers, you have the ability to close more deals and charge more money. Hopefully you found this content in this video helpful. If you have any questions, like always, comment below and we'll see you on the next video.